the cloud. All righty. So if you remember, we're doing a workshop this Saturday from 1 to 3:30. We're going to focus on the psoas. If you plan on attending, I would be grateful if you would RSVP back in the email that I sent out so that on Friday I can send you a props list and the Zoom link for the workshop. It'll be a different Zoom link. Today we're going to start talking about Brahmacharya, which is non-excess. So if you think of overindulgence in life, try to remember that old Alka-Seltzer commercial. Oh, no, it wasn't Alka-Seltzer. What one was it? Anyway, they said, I can't believe I ate the whole thing. You know, like those times when you're having fun Thanksgiving dinner and you're eating and eating and then you stuff yourself. And then it takes away from the pleasure of the moment because you're too full. Like it's not enjoyable anymore. And you have to go lay down and sleep or something. Or think about the times when you've gone out for a drink to celebrate something and you overdrink and you really overdrink so that you might be sick and you're hungover the next day. Those are all times that we've overindulged. And we can do that with so many things in our lives. We can do that with, not that I would know anybody who would do this, but with collecting books or with, like you can overindulge in exercising. So those are the times in life on a certain level where we've stolen the pleasure of the moment by doing too much. If you over exercise, you can be in a lot of pain. You can actually throw up from it. So those are the types of overindulgences we're kind of wanting you to start thinking about. Brahmacharya literally means walking with God. And anytime we overindulge in anything, we're actually forgetting the sacredness of life because Brahmacharya is an invitation to see the sacred in every moment and in every single thing that we do in our life and to make it a way of honoring the divine within and the divine without. So, to many, though, they think of Brahmacharya as meaning celibacy or abstinence. And while this could be a form that it takes, think of holy monks, the implications are really much more broad than just focusing on celibacy and abstinence. But it does ask for us, and from yogic philosophy, to deal with our sexuality in a way that's more sacred and life-giving rather than just excessive, thoughtless, and indulgent. Um, So we should enter each and every day and every action that we have with a sense of holiness and sacredness rather than indulgence and misery of the excess. In our daily lives, we have a tendency to be people of overindulgence, including spirituality at times. Think of the overzealot people you may have met in your life who are standing on the street corners and reading the Bible or whatever. You know, we've all kind of met that type of that type of zealot. But we need to recognize what is just enough in our lives, not too much, but just enough. And that goes along with the whole notion of being balanced and equanimity in life. And if we are always sensation seeking, so we're doing things, we're overindulging, then we're getting too like, high, you know, and then after that whole thing is done, we crash. And then we want that big thing again, and then we crash. And if we can find a way to not go to those extremes, and we can do little practices like that, like for example, instead of eating that second piece of pie or that third piece of pie, we can have one as enough and then practice non-excess and just tell ourselves no so that we can enjoy it and take pleasure in that sweetness of life without overdoing it. So that's your introduction to Brahmacharya. So for this week, you are asked to examine your beliefs, values, habits, and actions around sexuality and sexual activity. Notice what your culture, the media, your faith community, and your family have to say about this topic. Then notice if you act on outside authority or your own beliefs. You want to start paying attention to whether you're doing something because an outside authority, either the culture or a church, has told you to do it, or whether you're acting by what truly feels congruent for you. So use that as your little exploration for the week. All right. So before we get you guys down on the mat, I want to review the back lift for a moment. The back lift, if you remember, is one of those green light practices. So the green light is that go, 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 shoulders back, that swayed back position. But it's also really good, I think, for when your shoulders are more rounded forward, because it helps you have an opportunity to remember what it feels like to have those shoulders back. So one of the things I wanted to show you quickly is for propping. When I worked with people before, sometimes who have that type of shoulders coming forward, this is a really big firm bolster. So you can create something like that at home by rolled up blankets. But I want you to see what happens on here. Come up a little further. Okay. So am I all in here? Yeah. Okay. So I need to have a little prop for my head. We could do that, but then my neck's hanging off in space. So I want you to notice how my arms and my body is swooping down around that. And so it's almost more exaggerated. Everything about the movement's more exaggerated. So when I'm lifting that elbow up, it's actually coming from a place of being further drawn down. And so then when the head and the neck and the shoulder come up, it's actually moving with greater range of motion. It's going just a little bit deeper. So if you feel that you could benefit from that, you might want to take a moment and like maybe put a blanket on top of a pillow or something to prop yourself up a little bit further, just to give yourself that much more room. Otherwise, let's see. Okay, so otherwise, as a reminder, I'm going to lay long this way. Let's see, can you see that? Okay. So we're going to remind you to lay flat on your belly. Or if that's uncomfortable and you want a little bit of propping, you can use a blanket folded however you want to get yourself just right when we go to do it. I like to have my breast off the front of them so I don't feel like I'm getting smashed, okay? Now, we will end up doing the right side and the left side of the body, and I'll talk you through it again. But when we do this, usually the cues, or the way I talk about it, is to have one arm up with the elbow pointed and hand here, and the opposite arm down at the side, like back here. But if that's too strenuous on your body, that arm can be lying up here, or that extra arm wherever it needs to be. Okay? Now, in this position, I don't like that prop for this personally. Okay, so in this position, if your neck is fine, you want to turn your face towards that elbow with the back of the hand lying underneath the cheekbone or underneath the temple, like that. This arm can be resting up here, here, down to the side. If that is really too much for your neck and you cannot crank your neck that hard without hurting it, you can do this with your head facing down so that your forehead is on the back of the head, so that as we go to lift later on, that's the position you'll be in. And you'll discover that maybe with one side of your body, you might be able to turn your head more easily. And with the other side of your body, you might need your head pointing straight down. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that between each piece, and if I forget to cue it, you give yourself permission to do it. Between each piece of it, you can always stop if your head is turned and take a little break, like maybe even bring the other arm up for a moment, but just roll the head and neck. And then you can come back down into that position. All right? Now, if being on your belly bothers you, if it feels too constrictive, or if it hurts your body or your back, you are also welcome to do this exact same thing up on the wall. And if you do it on the wall, you kind of come in so your belly can touch the wall, and you lean like that. And so as we're going to do this movement, bloop, 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 you do the exact same thing, but you'll be doing it upright. It works beautifully that way. So I just wanted to show you all those little options for now, and then I'll explain it again when we get to it. Okay. Now today, we are going to begin, before we're on our backs with the soma scan, we're going to do a small sphinx and a cobra, just to see how our body feels and see what our range of motion is for today. So to come into that bridge and cobra, we're going to come down onto our, not bridge, I'm sorry, sphinx. We're going to come down onto our stomach. And you can have the elbows here in front of you and gently push up. Or you can bring, I like to have the hands together like that. We're coming from down here and gently lifting that head up. And then coming down. That's your sphinx check-in. You want to keep moving that head and that neck and that little bit of the upper chest as one smooth unit, so that we're not cranking that neck back and head back like that. Keep it nice and long and smooth, but try this in your body. Noticing your range of motion. And then bring the hands back underneath the shoulders, head down, and gently push up through the hands, again, keeping that neck in alignment with the body. And just notice your range of motion here. We'll check in at the end so you can see if it has increased at all. And if it hasn't, maybe you'll still notice that it feels better in your body than it did when we started. And then if you would please, you can just roll over where you are onto your back. And we'll start with the soma scan. So if you would please, just start noticing your body. Pay attention to how it feels lying there. Notice what is feeling like it's settling with ease on the ground, noticing places that might feel tight. See if there's any small thing you can do, any little adjustment to make you feel more at ease in your body right now. And then really tune in from the top of the head, scanning down, down, down through the shoulders and the upper back and the lower back and the hips and the legs down to the soles of the feet. Just paying attention to where any tension might be. See if there's any little adjustments you can make to make your body feel more at ease. And then do a long, deep exhalation, allowing all the breath to empty from the body. And as you inhale, start down at the base of the belly. And again, like that umbrella opening up, or like that movement of the jellyfish, just allow that breath to slide up, expanding nice and wide at the lower rib cage, all the way up to those collarbones. And when you exhale, release in reverse, starting with the collarbones, like you're closing that back down, landing back in the lower belly. Sitting up and just practicing the breath like this and paying attention to it can be a morning meditation practice as well as a breathwork practice. And then if you would please, one foot at a time, bring the soles of your feet to the floor with the knees up in the air in effortless resting pose. And check in, making sure the feet are hip width apart, making sure that the weight of your feet is evenly distributed between the heels and the balls. Double checking to see if the knees are dropping out or dropping in, and if so, making a little adjustment to even that out. Drop that chin just below the level of the forehead. And then begin doing those long, slow, gentle arches and flattens. Really inviting the body to lead you as to how far you should go today. Coming right up to the edge of that little Goldilocks spot. It's not too much, not too little, just right. And then allowing those shoulders to come into play if you'd like to. When you go into your next arch, you can allow the backs of those shoulders to press down towards the floor behind. And as you flatten, allow those shoulders to float up towards the sky so that it becomes a little curl in the front of the body. Just going in and out of this mini arch and curl, or continuing with the arch and flatten. All right. We're going to move into leg inversions and eversions now. That's when we're rolling the legs in and away from each other. But since you're at home, I just want to remind you that if you have an available wall, you might wish to bring your legs up long on the wall. Like that. So that your bum is in as close to the wall as feels comfortable for you. And when your legs are up on the wall and you're just resting like that, that can just feel so lovely for so many people's backs. But when you do the leg version, inversion and eversion up against the wall, on one hand, it becomes easier to do it. But on the other hand, you see the truth in your body more and you find more work. It usually seems like it shakes and quivers and pops more. So pick your perfect position. And feet are not necessarily a whole hip width apart here, maybe. They need to be a little bit apart. And then we're going to alternate legs, but starting with that right leg. Allow that right leg to gently roll away from the midline of the body, rolling towards the outer edge of your mat if you're on a mat. Going very, very slowly. And then when you reach your limit, pause. And then slowly allow that foot to come back upright. And then allow it to roll internally. So the toes are dropping in towards that left foot. And then bring that right leg back up to neutral. Now really pay attention to the movement, that rotation of the leg in the hip socket. You want to really feel that bone moving around back and forth in there. That's where we're trying to do the work. It's really not about the foot rolling on the heel. It's about that movement in the hip. So then begin with the left foot, rolling it externally as far as it can go. Not forcing it, but its natural range of motion. And then rolling it internally towards the other foot. And releasing up. So just repeat this on your own a bit. Left leg, right leg, back and forth. If you find a place where it feels like you're really not in control and the foot's really dropping out or quivering, pause there and just move in and out of that spot a few times. See if you can gain a little more control over the movement in that area. Then complete the set that you're on. When you're done with that, hug your knees to your chest and roll your back out. And if you're up against the wall, when you hug those knees to the chest, use it as an opportunity to maybe roll over to one side and come back upright so that you're able to move back into your space. Okay. We're going to need our myofascial balls next. Now, you're going to need to decide if you want to work with one or two. I personally, I like this with two, but you may prefer it with one. So we're gonna play with that for a little bit first so that you can figure out what you need to do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be sitting upright like this to start, and then possibly working up here along the back of the pelvis. And when we do that, we'll go down onto our elbows. We'll work here about 5 minutes or so. But you can use one ball and find a spot that feels like it needs release, and then you're going to pause there. I myself, in my bum cheeks here, I was quite successful with having them placed in two different spots, but finding where those places are, and you'll know them when you find them, and then just sitting there, okay? So hopefully you figured out if you need one or two by now. And then we're just going to allow ourselves to sit like this. Notice that sensation. Breathing the whole time through it. Practicing that nice wide umbrella breath. All right, now you decide if you want to roll around. This is how I do it. I kind of roll and see if there's another spot that needs it, and they'll be different on both sides. If you can find another spot, hold that one again. And if not, you can roll it up a little bit further back here on the pelvis and come down on your elbows. We'll hit that in just a moment, but so we'll do that spot 2 times, but just find that place with your readjustment. Earlier today when I was doing this, when I found my spot, I actually yelped. It was so obvious. It hurt in that good way. All right. Now, if you're not already on the back of the pelvis, roll your bum forward so the balls move back up a little further. And kind of roll around and adjust there and come back on your, oh, right there, on your elbows if you can. And we're going to be here for another minute and a half. And then we'll move on to the next piece. All right, let's come back up and remove those balls. And now for the pillow. So we want the pillow to lie not under our lower back, not under our upper back, but our mid back. And when we get into the position that we want, we're going to roll our body back over those pillows. Then you can adjust yourself as you need. It's a little too high up on mine. Okay, now in this position, if you can, bring your arms up over your head. If you can't, bring them up as high as you can, okay? To this, up like that. But if you can bring them over your head, what we're gonna do is you're gonna try to telescope the arms up higher, like you're trying to reach the wall opposite the hands, and at the same time try to draw the legs away from the torso of the body as well, so that you're pulling yourself in both directions. And notice the sensations that help. It might help you if you point your toes to do this, or maybe you just want to be on your heels. Just find what works for you. You may feel like a pulling in the body. Might feel a little quivery. Notice how your body feels and see if you can sit with it. And see if you can notice when your body starts releasing. And when it does, you can go a little deeper and a little further. If your arms are not overhead, it'll be a little harder to telescope, but you can try to telescope through the head, but definitely you can still do it through the feet and you'll still have the advantage of being over that pillow. And then go ahead and release the arms and the legs. You'll have to bring the feet up some so that you can roll over and pull that pillow out. And then if you would please just let yourself lie long for a moment and do another soma scan. Notice the difference in your back from having laid over that pillow. Notice how the glutes in your bum feel, how the back of the pelvis feels from being on those balls. I notice that when I do the myofascial work, after the releases, I have this awareness of what would be described as prana, the energy moving in the body. So maybe you feel like everything's slightly tingling, something like that. Just notice that sensation. All right. So now we're going to work on the back lift. So we've kind of gone over the description, and so hopefully you have an idea of what would work the best for you. So I'm going to ask you to try to set yourself up. Maybe you want to stand up against the wall. Maybe you want to be on your belly. If the arm cannot be out at the side with the elbow kind of coming out from the ear, you can have that elbow sink down wherever you want it to be. And when I cue you to lift the elbow, you can just lift from a lower position. It'll work perfectly fine. So if you need to prop your belly, prop your belly. If you feel your shoulders would benefit from being propped high, go ahead and do so. Put two pillows together. Maybe have something underneath your head. We're going to start with the right side of our body first. So we'll be working with the right arm and the left leg. So on your belly, possibly propped, possibly not. Bring that right arm up and that right elbow up. So the right elbow is coming out away from the ear, and the palm of the right hand is down on the ground, and that right cheek or the right temple is resting on the back of the hand, probably on the fingers. Just find the spot where it's comfortable. And in that position, if you would please, I'm going to ask you to try to lift that elbow just an inch or two off the ground. And just let it come down again. I'd like you to start off by keeping it as small as you can a couple of times, and you can go in and out on your own and not wait for me to cue. But do it very, very tiny, because I want you to see how much effort that is and how much control it takes to do that small, small movement. And keeping that head and the hand down, and just that lifting of that elbow up and that elbow coming back down, you can go ahead and increase that movement, but do it slow and responsibly so that you can feel where it's just enough, where you're not lifting too much. You're not forcing the elbow to lift higher than it needs to. You are lifting it the perfect amount for you. Find that perfect amount. The other thing I'm going to ask you to start paying attention as you're looking for that is if you're releasing thoroughly when that elbow comes back down to the ground. So what I mean by that is it takes a lot of muscle coordination throughout the body. You'll probably feel this all the way back down on the back of the pelvis, maybe down into your bum. So after that elbow comes up, when it comes back down to rest onto the ground, I want you to completely let all those muscles that you just contracted go. So if you need to take a breath in between each movement, do so. If that's the only way you can relax your body. Because this one is one where people have a tendency to always body brace. They hold those muscles in so they don't have to work so hard the next time. It's kind of an automatic thing that we do. So see if you can really allow those muscles to relax between each movement of lifting the elbow. All right. So let that elbow go quiet. And if you need to move that head around, go ahead and turn the neck, lift it up, roll the neck around, and then bring the face back down so the face is pointing towards that elbow. Now, first of all, bring the attention down to the right leg and extend the right leg a little bit on the ground so that it's got a little tension to it. So it's acting as an anchor on the floor. Okay. And then just lift that left leg 1 or 2 inches off the ground and bring it back down. And then release the muscles in between. And then this time, when you go to lift that left leg, I'm asking you to really pay attention. If your leg is wobbling all over and you don't have a lot of control, then don't lift it very high. I want you to only be lifting it within your range of motion where you have control of that leg. Okay? Now, the next time you go to lift the leg, I'd like you to try bending that knee so the foot's up in the air so that it's like at your calf, your lower leg is at a 90-degree angle to the upper leg. And then do it this way and see how that feels in the body to do. And then let it come back down. Then bring the legs long. If you need to release that left arm that's down at your side, feel free to do that too and take a break. Just let that neck move around. And then once again, put the left cheek on the back of the right hand so you're facing the elbow. The left arm is down along the side of the body or resting wherever else it needs to be for you to be comfortable. And this time, you're going to lift the hand and the head and the elbow up off the ground, and that upper chest will come into play. So very small movement. I want you to only try to go 1 or 2 inches a couple of times first. But again, remembering that you need to really allow the body to relax in between so that you're starting fresh each time. So you're really getting the work out of this exercise. So you're really getting the full benefit. And then you can feel free to increase the movement and come up higher, but only if it's an effortless effort. You do not want to be working hard doing this. You want to listen to your body and not push your body. So you can go up and down in that position. Breathing in between. Notice the connection between that right shoulder and how the muscles work out as a diagonal down to that left hip. See if you can feel that movement in the muscles. All right, so let the head and the hand and the upper chest and the elbow all rest back down on the ground. We're going to combine these movements now. So again, kind of lengthen and anchor that right leg down, give you a little bit of stability. Back of the right hand is underneath the left cheek. The head is turned facing the elbow unless you have the forehead on the back of the hand. We're going to lift the head and the hand and the upper chest and the elbow at the same time that we lift that left leg up nice and long. One movement, doing them together. And again, not pushing. Don't let that leg be wobbling a lot. If it is, you're lifting it too high. And bring it back down with ease. For your second one, I'm going to invite you to bend again so that your foot is up in the air. Your lower leg is at a 90-degree angle to the upper leg, bent at the knee. And I want you to repeat the movement, lifting the hand, the head, the elbow, the upper chest, while you lift that bent left leg. And come down on your own. And then if you would please repeat that whole movement 2 more times. You pick the position that you want your leg in each time. When you complete that, if you would please roll over onto your back for a moment and notice how it feels in that diagonal as you're laying there between the right shoulder and the left hip. All right, let's roll back over on our belly. So remember, we're working this time with the left arm and the right leg. And you may find that it's different this time. So before, maybe you were able to have your head turned so you were facing that right elbow. This time you may find that that's too much for your neck. Or you may find that it was too much for your neck when you were practicing trying to figure it out, but now that you've released some turn to the right, you might have more freedom on the left side. So we're going to take that left arm and bring it up so that the elbow is bent and the back of the hand is underneath the cheek or the temple, the right cheek or temple, and the head is turned facing that left elbow. Unless it's more comfortable to have your head, your forehead resting on the back of the hand. Now remember, if having that elbow drawn up so it's like coming out from your ear, if that's too much, you can definitely let that elbow be down lower towards the torso. All right, so let's begin again by allowing that left elbow to float up and down just an inch or two. Remembering also, if you would please, to release the body in between each movement. And you can grow that lifting of the elbow bigger, but only as you can do it with control and only as much as your body is asking you to. All right, let's stop moving that elbow. If you need to release the right arm that should be long against the right side of the body, you can. If your arm's resting up high, if you need to move it, go ahead. Feel free to lift that head up and roll the neck around. Give yourself a little bit of release. And then bring that head back down so that the right cheek again is on the back of the left hand and your head is turned facing that left elbow, unless you have opted to have the forehead down on the back of the head. And this time I would ask that you extend that left leg a little bit and ground it down into the earth as an anchor to help keep you from feeling wobbly. And coming to that right leg, after it's nice and anchored and you feel stable, we're going to float that left leg up. But again, only an inch or two, and come back down. And release all those muscles in between that you had to engage to lift the leg. And then repeat that if you would, please. And this time you can lift that leg longer if you want to, lift it higher if you want to. Now, when you come back down from this one, we're going to again bend the leg at a 90-degree angle. So the foot's up towards the sky. And go ahead and repeat again, lifting that knee and that upper leg up off the ground just as high as you're able and as comfortable. Notice that all this is different on the left side of the body than the right side. And then release the leg long again. Release all the muscles in between. Do it 2 more times. Just trying it out on your own. Exploring. Release the head again if you need to and rotate it some, giving that neck a little relief. Then bringing your head back down in position. This time I would invite you, starting again with 1 or 2 inches. Lift the hand and the elbow and the head and the upper chest up off the ground, 1 inch or 2. And then come back down to the earth below. And again, allow all the muscles to relax before you re-engage and repeat. And feel free to grow this movement responsibly on your own, going up and coming down and releasing all the muscles before re-engaging a few times. Right, give yourself a break again. Release the arms. Roll the neck on the head. And come back into position. I think I may have cued your leg wrong the last time. I apologize. I hope you figured it out. Okay, left elbow, head facing the left elbow. Left leg is engaged as your anchor on the ground. And the right leg is the one you want to be lifting with the head and the shoulder and the elbow and the hand all at the same time, coming up and going down. Relaxing the muscles in between. This time repeating by bending the knee. And then practice it 2 more times on your own. Seeing how that feels. So rolling over on the back, noticing how both sides probably feel more even now. How you'll feel a release from that left shoulder down to that right hip. I'm going to have you roll back over onto your belly. And we're going to go ahead and do that little recalibration with the Sphinx and the mini cobra, noticing any shifts or changes in our bodies. So again, you can have those hands up in a little bit of like a triangle point. Press through and then just let the head and the upper chest come up, noticing how that feels. Now, there's more ease in that movement. And bring the hands back underneath the shoulders for a cobra. Again, we want to keep the spine nice and straight, attached to the head so we're not cranking that neck back. And then just pushing through the hands and then engaging those muscles of the body and the torso to allow the head and the chest to lift up. Going up and down a few times. And really listening to your body, because of course you could push through your hands and force yourself upright into a more traditional looking cobra, but that wouldn't necessarily be doing your body any good. All right. We're going to come back up into a seated position. Ooh. And we are going to work on our new mudra that goes along with Brahmacharya. And it is the prana mudra. I really like how this one feels. So the prana mudra, I actually just mentioned prana a little bit ago. And prana is supposed to be the life force, the energy that's in your body. Chinese medicine, it's qi, like you've heard of qi before. So that energy surrounds us everywhere. It's in the trees, it's in our pets. It's just the life force and the energy. So this is called the prana mudra. So you want to have your hands extended forward, shoulder width apart, and you want to softly bring your thumb and the ring and the pinky fingers together, okay? Just so that they're touching. And then you extend these two fingers long. Now, if you wanted to get really fancy, one way of doing this, and this might actually feel good to do sometimes, is to be in an extended child's pose like this. We're going to practice it today sitting upright. You can do that on your own. I just wanted to show it to you. But before we get started on it, I wanted to tell you a little more about it. This mudra actually is supposed to bring forth vitality that resides within you already, your prana, your life force. So this could also be something that you could do when you are feeling tired. It's a pretty easy one to do. Just let your hands sit like that. Now, there's a mantra that goes with Brahmacharya, and it's Om Somaya Namaha. Om Samaya Namaha. So this is calling upon, I got to read this to you to make sure I get it all right. There's a thing, I just read about it again the other day. In India, there used to be this thing called soma that was a liquid. So this describes it as calling that mantra, calling upon the rejuvenating liquid or nectar, the soma, that drips from the moon in Hindu mythology and washes away stress that causes you to feel depleted. And oftentimes when we're feeling depleted, that's when we get into excessive behavior. Like we feel we deserve that extra piece of cake because we've been tired and had a rough week, or get that one extra beer because we've had a rough day or something. So feeling depleted often puts us into um, that state of going into excess in our lives. So this can be used to wash away stress in your life and make you feel a little gentler. Now, I mean, a little more at ease in your life and your body. Now, soma also is a drink that I don't, I'm sure there's people in India who know what it is, but it was a plant called soma that was grown high in the Himalayan mountains, and they would squeeze the nectar out of it. And it had some mild hallucinogenic properties, and it was used for spiritual tradition. And so doing this is symbolically bringing that into your life. So, pinky, ring finger, 2 fingers extended long. We're going to hold this for 2 minutes. And I'll do the mantra a few times to start. And then if you're on your own at home, well, feel free to do it with me because nobody's going to hear you. So you don't have to worry about it. You can all just laugh at me doing it. Okay. Om Somaya Namaha. 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 All right. Well, coming out of that, it's time for our final relaxation. So if you would please either get into easy resting position or lie long and prop yourself whichever way feels great, possibly with those pillows under your knees or a small pillow under your head, blanket over the body. If you have an eye mask, you might want to put an eye mask on. And then just close your eyes and gently roll your head from side to side. Pay attention to your breath and just allow it to be long, slow from the belly up to the chest, and that long, slow release. Feel the exhalation being cleansing and relaxing, and the inhalation nourishing and energizing. And turn your attention inward. And once again, do a soma scan, mentally scanning from the head to the toes and back up again. And just pause briefly in any area that you might feel a little bit of tension still, and allow that tension to release. Really go slowly with this scan, because sometimes this tension feels normal and we're not aware of it really. So pay attention to that. When you discover one of those little tense spots, imagine sending the breath there to that particular part of the body, seeing if that breath can ease up that little knot of tension, kind of like untying a thread. Honor the areas in your body that need a little extra healing, pausing on certain body parts a bit longer if you have pain or limited mobility or even emotional injury there. Our practice is for the mind, the body, and the spirit. Try to clear your mind of the past and the future, and when it wanders, just bring it back to the breath. Let the whole body be soft, heavy, feeling like you're melting into the earth below. And then allowing the toes and the fingers to move. Hands and feet to roll on the wrists and the ankles. Hugging the knees to the chest and rolling the back out. Then allow the legs and the arms to stretch nice and long. And then rolling back up into a ball, roll over onto your left side, curled up. And lie here for a few minutes, a few moments. And then push yourself back upright into a seated position. And we're going to do the loving kindness meditation again. I'll repeat it 3 times. Let my words be your words, and you can continue on. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. All right. And we're going to close today with the St. Francis of Assisi prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in the giving that we receive, it is in the pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in the dying to the self that we are born to eternal life. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Well, thanks for practicing with me again today.